Hey y'all, it's Blurry Photos.
The rompinest, startinest, ass-tearingest, paranormalist having podcast this side of the Rio Grande.
Hey, welcome to Blurry Photos. I am David Flores.
I'm David Stecco.
And we're off to another flawless start. Hope you're all doing well. We are. We got a fun show lined up for you. Pretty interesting. I think you'll find it.
It is a mystery wrapped in an enigma, double dipped in secret sauce, and left in the glove box of Al Capone's car.
Oh man, they never drug that thing out of the river either.
Nope.
So it's finally preserved underwater.
That's right. I hope what you're getting from that is that what we're dealing with is a top-notch, Class A+ mystery.
Yeah. Today we're talking about Gobekli Tepe.
No, I know what you're saying. Oh, another podcast about Gobekli Tepe?
And the answer is yes. That's what it is. We decided, why not bring this cool mystery of the modern times to light? Because I would bet some money that you probably don't know about it.
I'd bet a ton of money you don't know about it. And so rather than continue right now as if you did, right off the bat, Gobekli Tepe is an archaeological site in Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Southern Turkey.
And it's one of those things that every archaeologist watches closely because it is significant enough that it will affect the timeline for almost every other field of research.
That's right. It's a major find that is happening, has happened recently, and is currently happening right now. And we'll get into the significance of this, we'll get into what exactly it is, and we'll get into all the theories of who built it and what it may be and what may have happened.
Yeah, like it's awesome. The story of this thing starts as so many things do. It was noticed, I guess, for lack of a better word, in I guess it's 64?
1964.
There was a survey team that was out there and realized, hey, that hill over there doesn't quite jive with the surroundings. Mm-hmm. There's probably something going on there. Let's call it a burial ground and go drink some more of that delicious Turkish coffee I've been addicted to.
That's right, and that's what happened.
And that was the end of that for the next 30 years.
Until 1994, when an archaeologist by the name of Klaus Schmidt came across this and was like, wait a minute, there's more to this than just being a burial ground.
Yeah, and if the name Klaus Schmidt sounds familiar to you, you are probably an archaeologist, because I've never heard of him before in my life. See what I did there?
We might as well just call him Germany. That sounds familiar to me.
His name is Deutschland Bratwurst III.
But yeah, so let's get pretty in depth here on what exactly we're dealing with. So, as we mentioned, it's an archaeological site in southern Turkey. Specifically, it's a Neolithic site, and it's right near the border of northern Syria, or Iran's path to the sea. It was first discovered in 64, as we said. But then actually began to be excavated in 1994. They've radiocarbon dated it to be somewhere around 12,000 years old. It's around 30 acres large. The whole area right now is around 30 acres, and only 5% of it has been actually excavated.
And that is amazing. I mean, the degree that how big this is. I mean, this is on an order of like Chinese imperial tombs. Mm. I mean, this is a huge. It is a physically huge find, but it is also an academically huge find.
Right.
And it has been around for such a long time. One of the biggest challenges they're having is that it's a place that has been consistently habitated. People have been there forever. And so people have been hauling stones out of it. They've been trying to farm on top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much, just from people being there and not knowing what it is, have been just kind of ransacking it a little bit for a long time, just the upper layers. But the reason why it's still such a valuable site is that there are deeper chambers that not only were buried over time, they were buried deliberately.
Yeah, that's the freaky part. And these chambers, they consist of huge limestone pillars and walls, limestone walls in circles. There's circles of walls in all different places. And the circles themselves are different sizes. The pillars are generally around 10 feet high, maybe more. There are some that are higher than that. They weigh anywhere from 10 to 20 metric tons. And they're decorated, this is the fun part, they're decorated with sculptures of all kinds of animals and some humans. But they're carved directly from the stone. They're not carved separately and placed on there. Somebody carved a pillar and an animal on the pillar out of the same rock.
It is amazing the detail that they put in this, because things are both carved in positive and negative relief. In some cases, it's a flat stone that they've carved the image into the stone, and in some cases, they have the image and they carved all of the stone back so that the image comes out from the stone.
It's amazing.
And keep in mind the timeline we're dealing with here. This predates metallurgy. This is right on the cusp of us moving from hunter-gatherers to even having agriculture of any kind at all.
Right. It predates pottery. It predates, like you said, metallurgy. It predates writing. And some people think it predates the wheel.
Aye!
That's right. You know it. You love it. The wheel.
Ever heard of it?
Ever heard of it?
And it's amazing. So these huge pieces of limestone were carved very intricately using other stones. They actually used flinted rocks to carve rocks, and that is not an efficient means of stone carving.
No, not at all. Some of the floors in the structure were made of the bedrock that was already there, carefully smoothed out, and some of them were what's called terrazzo, which is burnt limestone. And you're probably asking yourself, why are you telling me about this archaeological site? I mean, it sounds cool and all, but
I ain't getting it. You haven't sold me yet, Flora.
Well, this goes back to what we just said. It would have been built in the Stone Age, when humans were supposedly hunters and gatherers, like we said. People weren't. It's believed that they weren't generally, setting up shop anywhere and carving some sculptures and stuff at this time because they were worried about getting food.
Yeah, this is hunter-gatherer times. We didn't yet put seed to ground yet. And these people built this giant complex of, assumedly, temples. They're moving huge pieces of stone. And it's not like Stonehenge where they had to move miles and miles and miles. It was about 300 to 500 meters from their quarry. But these are still 20-ton slabs of limestone that they're getting a whole bunch of people, presumably wearing, animal skins.
Yeah, who knows?
People who are probably somewhat undernourished. But the number of people and the organization to accomplish this is not supposed to have arisen for thousands of years yet.
Not only that, no one knows who built it or why they built it. The archaeologist that we mentioned, Klaus Schmidt, Germany III, who's heading up the digging, the excavation of it, he calls it a cathedral on a hill, basically. He thought it was a religious site because there's no real evidence of human habitation, but there is evidence of primitive flint and stone tools and other, obviously, some kind of intelligence did this. It wasn't like humans weren't a part of it at all. It's just that it looks like no one actually lived at the thing. So they think it's some sort of religious structure. Yeah,
and the degree of information they were able to get from just what they've excavated so far is amazing. Just like you said, the fact that they don't find cook fires or latrines or trash pits or any of those things means people probably weren't inhabiting these structures, which, again, 10,000 years ago, who on earth is building a thing and not living in it?
Yeah.
That's an inordinate amount of effort to put into something that you're not using.
Right. And the effort is probably even more because, as we said, they're using flint and stone tools, or so it seems. and it just doesn't make sense to to only use that for the size of this type of structure.
Another thing with the decorations in this structure that are really incongruous with other archaeological sites is that the depictions of animals, they don't fall into the regular categories. There's, first of all, no violence depicted.
Right.
There's no...
It doesn't show anybody hunting any animals or anything like that.
Yeah, no wounds, no wars, nothing like that. The animals that are depicted aren't game animals. They're not significant as far as agriculture or food sources. They are significant as far as, like, I guess what you would call, for lack of a better word, a totemic animal. They have lions and spiders and like things that a 7-year-old think are pretty great.
It's true. It's true. They list bulls, boars, gazelles, wild asses. Foxes, reptiles, insects, spiders, birds, with, in particular, a lot of vultures.
Yeah, vultures.
Vultures were common in the area, I believe. But the thing about it is that area of Turkey currently is kind of a dust bowl. It's kind of a very arid and not a lot is going on there. But 12,000 years ago, the place was pretty lush. There was a lot going on then.
Yeah, and it's actually thought that the reason why it's so arid now was because of overcultivation, loss of topsoil.
Right. Yeah.
And it's thought that agriculture contributed significantly to the climate in the area now.
Yeah.
That it is so arid and dusty. You know, top of my head, guy sitting in an apartment in Chicago's theory on this.
Oh, great.
Vultures. You have a whole bunch. They say hundreds it took. Hundreds of people to put this thing together over a very long amount of time. They are not hunting or gathering while they're doing this. So it's very hard to figure out where is the food coming from while they do this. Calorically, how are these people able to afford to do this? And then there's a lot of vultures depicted.
Oh, you're thinking cannibalism?
No, I'm just thinking they're just people died left and right building this thing. And you just see a lot of vultures.
It wouldn't make sense for it to be cannibalism, because what would the vultures eat? that was a stupid...
Well, there's that one pillar with a giant middle finger pointed at a big giant vulture.
Yeah, well, one thing I read in there is that they don't have any pictures of deer. And so they think that maybe deer was a source of food because they didn't have pictures of it. Or there's some theory of that. They
knew there were deer there, but they're never pictured?
Yeah, because that's what they used for their food source. Something like that. There's something that I read that said, their food source wasn't actually depicted because they didn't think they needed to, or I don't know. That was just a theory that they had of why maybe deer weren't, because they did find deer bones that looked like they had been processed, slaughtered, and eaten and cooked and all that stuff. But no deer pictures in there, which is weird. But I mean, all in all, these pictograms that they put on their walls and the pillars, we don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to the pictograms that anyone has found yet. It's just like, wow, look at this cool menagerie of animals.
Yeah, and it's fascinating in that every other cave painting or early expressionism that was done by man was really closely tied to those things. Like what we eat is really important, and so there's
right. So let's talk about
right, and this location seems to be that perfect polar opposite. They'll show you anything but those things.
At this point, you guys, your listeners, may be thinking this, or maybe not, but I've thought about it as well. Doesn't it sound almost like it's a zoo?
Yeah, and I think there's some references. I think Mr. Hans Bierstube von Lederhosen III references a stone zoo of sorts at times.
Which at that point, he's just throwing everything out there because he said cathedral.
Yeah.
He's now saying it.
Never interview an archaeologist. They spend too much time by themselves and they'll just start talking your ear off.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, well, maybe they had these circular enclosures to keep animals in, and then they made these 3D reliefs these sculptures of what animal was in, each enclosure. I don't know, that may be a stretch in a certain sense, and maybe it makes sense in another, but any of these, it's up for grabs right now. What the hell's going on with this place?
Yeah, it is. But it's so interesting, and there is so much interest in it, just because it is so perplexing. It just so clearly does not fit into anything we've seen before. Its location, I mean, it's just outside the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah. I saw one thing that said, ancient Sumer was what we have commonly referred to as the cradle of civilization. It's one of the first great civilizations has arisen in history, and that was in the Mesopotamian region. The time when Sumer existed to us, like how long ago Sumer existed. That's how long ago to them Gobekli Tepe existed. So and there's thought that ancient Sumerian writing mentioned an ancient civilization in their writings, and there's thought that that might refer to Gobekli Tepe.
Wow!
So I'm already peeking in the door of the crazy shit that's going on with this thing.
Oh, that's the best part. This is my favorite kind of thing to find and discover and discuss, because it is a real, genuine academic mystery that people who aren't crazy as are researching. There's none of the people that are doing this have a side project on the History Channel. None of these guys spend their weekends hunting squatch.
It's true.
These are university trained, as far as I know.
Yes, but they may spend their weekend hunting squatch.
Yeah, where we come from, they're called Herr Untergrumpensurfers, and my passion is hunting Rumpensurfers.
All I want to do is buy one a beer and talk with it.
Shush, did you hear that?
Listen.
It was the call of the Rumpensurfer.
Nein, it is not.
Oh, Germans. But I love it because this is a real, very... I can't make the words happen. This is a very real academic mystery that professionals are investigating. And like any great mystery, the Curiosity rover on Mars is magnificent, and there's real scientists working on that. And then the people come out of the woodwork and start just duct taping their bullshit theories to the side of it and just let it run around in the landscape. And that is what I love. Yeah. This is exactly that kind of thing. It's this very rock solid foundation of genuine inquiry that you can just start putting your emotional Pinterest things onto.
It's like a paint by numbers of theories of what this could be. Now let's go on and open the door a little more to the crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of the other things that have been found in here, they found a few statues along with these that are separate from the actual pillars themselves. Some of the pillars have arms carved on them, and they're kind of anthropomorphic because they almost seem like they're huge humanoid figures, especially when they put their arms on there and stuff. But they have found some statues by themselves, including a
weeping angel.
No, thank goodness. A 6-foot stone totem that depicts possibly the birth of humanity, or humans, or humankind.
Now, what does if you gave me all the tools I would ever want and a 6-foot block of stone, I have no idea how I would depict the birth of humanity.
Well, that's a great point, and that's why somebody's duct taped this theory onto this. What it is, you basically have 3 sections of it. On the very top, there's a large humanoid figure, but the face has been just completely destroyed. There's no face, there's no real kind of head. You just see the arms coming down, holding on to the second section, which is another humanoid figure whose face is destroyed, who has arms coming out, holding on to the bottom section, where it looks like a human, like a very real human being down there. Not, and this is carved in stone, and it looks. You can tell it's humanoid, and it's.
And so the third one faces fine and intact.
Yes.
Huh.
And there's. I guess there may be. You guys can Google pictures of this one too.
It might help right now. Let's just take a moment. That is spelled Gobekitepe. That is where you'll find most. You could put an I on the end of that too. I think you'd get some stuff there. But for anyone who wanted just to look that up, and we just keep saying Gobekli Tepe over and over.
So Google this when you get a chance and check it out, because apparently if you see it up close or if you look down where the little human is at the bottom, there may be one or two other things in there that makes it seem like some kind of birth or creation. I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's coming out of a vagina, that's for sure. But it's pretty interesting. And it's funny, when somebody puts out a theory like this, and then you see the actual object, your mind's already thinking, well, now I've got I'm thinking of the creation of mankind or whatever when I look at this thing. So that might taint your perception of it. And this one and a couple of the others have been taken to a museum to be put on display and to keep safe, because some thieves have already stolen some of the artifacts that are from there.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that as it gets more press, as it gets more researched, this has every reason of being like a new tomb of Tutankhamun or something like that.
So, not only that one, but there's one that's a little bit freakier.
Thunder sound.
It is a humanoid statue, full size, no hair or no carving of hair. The nose has been broken off. It's got no mouth carved into it at all. And it's got these black obsidian eyes that are made out of black obsidian crystal. Well then. Not only that, it's got a double V neck. It could be a necklace. It could be the top of some sort of shirt, maybe.
Could be gills.
Could be racing stripes. It makes them go faster. Wasn't carved with any legs. It was carved to basically set on a block. And it has two arms carved on it that may be holding its erect penis.
Heyo!
And they call it the Urfa Man.
Urfa?
Yeah, Urfa. But this is a freaky one that you guys can Google and check out too.
Wow, it is kind of now the way you described it. Now, as you were describing it, I kind of clicking around some of the stuff we've already pulled up here. I mean, obviously, to that description, nose flattened, no mouth, and black eyes. I was thinking of gray, which sure. I think anyone listening would.
Gray alien, yeah.
Looking at the picture of this statue, of this carving, it's about as far from a gray as you could imagine a thing being.
It looks more human.
Yeah, definitely more human. But it is interesting that there's so much detail on these sculptures, on these carvings, but the mouth is completely and purposefully omitted.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the insectoid type of eyes that a gray alien might have. They're normal-sized human eyes. I mean, if you put like a helmet on it and some spikes, it might be the Shredder.
That's true. Oh my gosh, this is the home of the Foot Clan. That's what we found.
So they're gonna unearth Krang, get it, and then go to Dimension X, I guess.
Yeah, I think they did. Isn't that Honey Boo Boo and her mom?
That's true. Her mom. What's that thing called? The robot that he walks around in.
Oh man, I don't remember.
I don't remember what it's called either.
It's interesting. Like they have these weird sculptures, and why? That's the most amazing thing to me, at least, is trying to figure out why they chose the things that they did to include here.
Yeah, and again, this is Neolithic. It's pre anything that we have in terms of actually making not to mention art, but like agriculture, like we said, husbandry of animals, the wheel.
There is even some discussion. Now, this is the ballpark of importance that this site has. There is some discussion that this site might be the reason for the spread of agriculture. That in order for a group of people to build this, as large it is, to sustain as many people as was required, it's kind of a cart before the horse thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't that people in this area settled, and because they were there for a long time they built it. There's some belief that perhaps people came here to build it and then were forced to settle by the magnitude of the work.
Yeah.
They had to learn to plant food, because even if they weren't constantly, because keep in mind, now this was not built like a skyscraper. This was not built. This was built over hundreds, if not thousands, of years. This was a very long-term project.
Right.
But
and not only just to quickly interject, they kept building onto it, and they also covered up some of the stuff they built and rebuilt on top of it, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was very important to these people that things get built at that location, and there are some theories that maybe the horse came after the cart on this thing, that they came there to build it and were forced to adapt their lifestyles around the project, and force them to learn to plant and to be more efficient and to build a more functional society in order to support this work, this project.
Right.
Which begs the question, where the hell did they get the idea, and why is it so damn important to them?
Right. Exactly. One more thing about the carvings and the sculptures and stuff. A lot of the animals on there don't look familiar to what we have today, or what we know of from some of the history. Some of them look a little weird or completely weird. There are feline figures, feline looking things on there that don't really match some of the cats that we know or have known to have existed. There's even there's a sculpture of a bird that really closely resembles a dodo as well, which would be really interesting. And about the sculptures, if you check out some of the images on those, what they remind me of. There's one that looks like a little jaguar or some sort of...
Or jaguar.
Jaguar. What a jaguar. And it looks like something you would find on a Mayan pyramid.
Yeah, the stylization of it is very, very much in that line. I mean, I guess you could kind of go both ways with that. Like, well,
Or the Mayan was...
A cat is a cat.
Yeah. But I don't know. Something about the squareness of it. It looks very, very Mayan. So that's... I think that's real neat.
Now, if you'll let me, I'm going to politely pry the door to Weirdsville open a little bit further.
All right.
Now, you might recall, over the summer there was a little kerfuffle about a company who did deep sea salvage operations, and they were using sonar. They were pinging the floor of the Baltic Sea, looking for shipwrecks or whatnot, or whatever it is they do, and they came across this object on the floor of the Baltic Sea, and they're not saying where it is exactly.
Yeah, because they don't want everybody rushing to it.
They don't want people messing with their lives. But this thing is sitting on the floor of the Baltic Sea, and if you Google, Baltic Sea object or whatever, you'll get it. And it's funny. At first glance, for lack of any better description, it looks like a top-down view of the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
I mean, like, the shape is almost spot on. Obviously, it's probably not the Millennium Falcon. And the Baltic Sea is really only loosely in the ballpark of Turkey. Very loosely indeed.
Yeah.
But here's a really interesting thing. The floor plan for Gobekli Tepe is exactly in the shape of this object that they found, this shape at the bottom of the Baltic Sea.
Yep.
The basic floor plan for the main temple is the exact same shape as this thing, although it's a mirror image. It's reversed.
If you were to look from the top down at this excavation site of Gobekli Tepe, then it would look like the sonar images of this object that's at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. It's pretty interesting. I have not put any stock into believing that this object in the Baltic Sea is worth a shit at all.
I 100% agree with you.
But this is when we started doing this research. It is very interesting to look at both of those together, side by side. The top down of Gobekli and the top down of the Baltic Sea object.
And it is, I completely agree with you. I think the Baltic Sea object is just one of those. I mean, it's the floor of a sea. There's weird stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a thing. I think it's a company trying to kick up some publicity for itself.
Exactly.
Having said that, the fact that these two things look alike is really cool.
Yeah, and geographically speaking, they are they're close enough to each other to give it a second look. It's not like one of them is on Easter Island and the other is in Turkey. Although you do have the Moai statues that have been compared to some of the stuff going on at Gobekli Tepe.
Yeah, exactly. And now the company has not disclosed where in the Baltic Sea this object is, because so it's, you can't. I was going to look it up and see how exactly far apart from each other they were, but you don't really know where it is. And the Baltic Sea is a pretty big thing. And in Turkey kind of has this. It's kind of like there's certain ladies that just attract crazy dudes. Turkey attracts archaeological mysteries and is, for the most part, kind of a dick about letting people check it out.
Are you talking about the Noah's Ark?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Now, they're pretty cool with Gobekli Tepe. Not so cool with the Noah's Ark stuff. Personally, I do not believe there was a giant boat atop Mount Ararat. Honestly, my true belief is that the Turkish government is doing Christians a huge favor by not letting anybody check.
Well,
because as long as they keep shutting it down, then everyone gets to believe and go on about their business.
Sure.
But there's and that's not far from this place, and it's interesting that there are these archaeological mysteries that keep cropping up in Turkey. Another fun thing in Turkey, the Derinkuyu underground city.
Wow.
I mean, not at all related to this. I mean, this is maybe 700-800 years BC, but it is an underground city. It was dug out of limestone. You could fit 20,000 people in it with their in-laws, 2 SUVs each, all of their livestock. They could live entirely underground. There's this...
And wireless.
And wireless. No 3G, though. Or
4G?
4G? I don't know.
It's all fake.
What do I know? It is all fake. That's our next episode. What the government's lying to you about.
Dude, we'll need more than one episode for that.
Connection lost.
Oh, whose?
Connection lost.
Oh, your connection's
Oh
lost.
my god, the government.
Connection lost.
Shut up, government.
Sorry.
Oh god. Oh boy.
I'm keeping that in
there. We just lost our 3 or 4G. But no, in this underground city, had this amazing air shafts, and again in Turkey.
In Turkey, yeah.
There's just crazy stuff going on there. And I heard that their Turkish delight is indeed delightful.
You heard that from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
And that's the only thing I believe in that book.
So let's get to one of the other major crazy points of this thing. How it was filled in, as we said. There's evidence and carbon dating that shows the entire thing had been deliberately covered by dirt and gravel 11,000 years ago. That was about 1,000 years after those pillars had been constructed and put there, or whatever.
And this is important. This whole site didn't go out with a whimper. It wasn't just slowly people stopped going to church, moved on, start listening to the rock music. Everyone who had spent all this time building the temple had finally just said, you know what? F*** it. We're out. That's it. We're shutting it down. We're canceling this show.
Bury it. I will bury you. Yeah, there's no evidence why this happened, but the good thing is it preserved everything.
Yeah.
And as much as 300 to 500 meters square of dirt and gravel was put over top of these structures. So the big question is why? Why was this done? And there are tons of theories about it.
Oh, tell me some, because I couldn't come up with any. Like, why would they bury it?
Why? Well,
Tell me. Don't lie to me, David.
Inadvertent lies. So obviously no one knows, but some of the bigger theories was that there was a huge solar outburst around that time that caused major plasma outbursts to come at the Earth and strike the Earth, thereby igniting the atmosphere and and melting glaciers, which then fed into flooding. You had massive rains, because the atmosphere couldn't take all the water and stuff that had vaporized, at this time. So there was that's one theory, that they knew this was coming, and they they covered it all up to preserve it. Another big one.
Good, because that first one, no.
You don't like that one?
I don't like that one.
I
had to shift to my skeptical chair position. You see this look? The one you're getting?
I just thought your back hurt. There were some events that happened in North America at the time, and the world on the whole was going through what was called a Younger Dryas stadial, which is a period of lower temperatures. It's Ice Age stuff, There are different degrees even of Ice Age, kind of how sometimes it warmed up, sometimes it cooled off even more. And these Dryas stadials, the one they call the Younger Dryas, when you dig down through the dirt in North America, you come across this layer of black carbon that dates back to about 12,000 years ago, when the Ice Age at the time was ending. The weird thing about this carbon layer, this black mass layer, is it has nanodiamonds and iridium in it. Now, nanodiamonds are only formed when you get
extreme pressure
and heat, yeah.
But iridium, that's so rare on Earth.
It's true. It mostly comes from outer space.
Space lightning thunder sound with the robot finish and a twist of Ghost. There's your acoustic cocktail.
Acoustic cocktails.
I got so excited that I couldn't shut up. Did you hear me trying to stop but not succeeding?
Oh, I heard.
But man, Flora, thank you for coming through with that sound.
Well, I have to. I have to for the listeners.
You're amazing.
So the Ice Age was ending around then. There was this sudden massive warming that happened. It was like almost overnight. It just things just got super warm. 11,000 years ago, there was a sudden refreeze. Now, they're thinking that this refreeze is connected to possible meteorites and comets striking the Earth at the same time. Just this huge barrage of things actually smacking into the Earth and things exploding in the atmosphere at the same time.
So maybe the Earth moving through a dense area.
Could be.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Some cloud of something came by, or maybe, got knocked out of some orbit somewhere, and came into contact with the Earth. So there was a ton of this violent activity going on the North American continent, which caused this layer that had the nanodiamonds, the iridium, and stuff like that. Also would cause flooding because of the more basically ice and water that's been brought in from these comets, and that coupled with the warming that was going on, that causes this huge flood. And then you get basically a nuclear winter, once everything just smacks into the Earth, hits the clouds cover the Earth, everything cools off even more, just That's one theory, which that then caused, extinctions of a lot of species. It really screwed up some of the poor things that were near, the impacts.
That will screw them up. The way a truck screws up a bug.
But the other weird thing about this is there is a carbon layer in Turkey as well, and they're thinking it dates back to around the same time, and so the theory, or this leads to a sub theory, I guess, that these people at Gobekli Tepe knew something was coming. They knew something was happening or going to happen. So again, they covered everything up to preserve it. It's really strange.
What if it's the other way around? What if these people saw, things raining from the sky, there's huge fires, there's ash, temperatures are going crazy, there's a lot of heat
from the world coming to an end, basically.
Right. And they were like, no, we built this so that wouldn't happen. Thanks for nothing. Bury it.
I'm fine with that too. Compared to what we got, I mean,
does that make me just a soulless person to think that's the more likely?
That's the thing. It's like the last person had the chisel on the little jaguar, and he's like, chink chink, it's done. Gobekli Tepe is finished, and everyone cheered, and there was partying, and everyone's like, yay! And then all of a sudden, they look up, and the sky ignites.
Right,
and they're like, it.
I'm sorry. Start burying it.
Screw it. We built this for 1,000 years, and this happens. That's it. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Sumeria.
It's right. Don't worry. I'll make up some bullshit story about this great wasted dump.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's also the theory that the pillars are even though they're massive and heavy, they're thin enough to resonate at a certain frequency. So there's a thought that the whole structure could be some sort of like tuning fork kind of thing.
Like an acoustic sound chamber?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, and they're saying, well, maybe Stonehenge has something, like that as well. Maybe there's something like that for that. But I've heard a lot of theories of ancient mysteries that involve sound and the use of sound devices and sound to build with and to do all sorts of stuff with. Like, sound is a big thing that I think is not being utilized currently.
Now, like anything great and particularly old, there's a group of people. I've got another postcard from Crazy Town to attach to this refrigerator.
Oh, great!
Garden of Eden.
Oh,
this is the Garden of Eden. This is where it all started.
Wow.
This is supported by tons of supported evidence. Said no one ever. This is the most fabricated of things, just because. What's that? Is that a thing? Is it old? Is that in Bible places? Garden of Eden! Moving on!
I have a picture of a snake on there.
Hey!
Somewhere.
Did you think they like apples? It's the Garden of Eden.
Garden of Eden.
They like them apples. Boom.
Call back.
Yeah, that is also something that people are choosing to believe about this, which is awesome. Because there are archaeologists there.
Here's a hint for you guys believing in this being the Garden of Eden. Check out our Hollow Earth episode.
Oh, yeah.
On parts. Get yourself a certificate.
Yeah, earn that certificate. It's amazing.
You still owe someone a certificate.
I do. So far, we have only had one person earn that certificate. And I owe them a certificate, but it's going to be great. As a matter of fact, I'm saying right now that by the time you hear this podcast, that certificate will have been delivered.
Oh, that's a tall order.
Yeah. No. I work good on a deadline.
Oh, okay.
And this is going to keep me honest about it.
There's also a link to our friend the Sphinx.
Oh, yeah.
That-
Not the superhero who's terribly mysterious. The actual Sphinx in Egypt.
Right. Because you all were thinking that, I'm sure.
Mystery Man's a great movie.
Is Mystery Man a great movie, or is it a great movie because it's Mystery Man? That's my favorite part of the movie, actually. Was Gobekli Tepe buried because of Catastrophe, or did Catastrophe bury Gobekli Tepe?
If you want to go forward, you got to go back. Doesn't all this seem very formulaic to you? We're doing a movie podcast.
So yeah, there's a link to the Sphinx having been built at around the same time. There's even the thought that the planet was going through the constellation Leo, something with.
Was it the dawning as the age of Aquarius?
No, that's now. No, it was transiting Leo or something like that, and that's why the Sphinx was built. Originally, it was built with a lion head, and then they screwed it up and carved a human head on it later. But there are weathering marks on the Sphinx itself of water, where water has actually eroded a lot of it, and everybody's like, "But it's Egypt. There's no water in Egypt, except the Nile." And it's, but
I would like to imagine that guy sitting by himself at the counter at Denny's, talking to no one.
I want more melon.
I said moons over my hammy. Sphinx. It's in the desert.
Yeah, all right, next time I'm getting a grand slam. There's also that thought, the flood coming in and around those times screwed up the Sphinx a little bit. Because they're now dating the Sphinx back to about 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, these things are contemporary archaeological sites now.
Both of which very much pre-Egyptian. Mm-hmm. It's even, 8,000 years or so before Roman civilization, Greek and Roman, stuff like that. It was about, I think, 9,000 BCE that they only started figuring out agriculture and animal husbandry and stuff, so this was quite a few thousand years before that even.
So now, not only do we have this temple site in Turkey, now we can add the effing Sphinx to gigantic things that were made before the wheel.
Wheel.
I mean, that's amazing. You're building the Sphinx, but you can't spell your name.
Well, the people... I would argue that I'm sure these people knew what they were doing, including probably some kind of system of writing or something, because the stupid people that are just figuring out agriculture and things like that 9,000 years, and they developed their system of writing and stuff. I can't imagine people that built something this just awesome didn't have their own way to communicate right to each other. Things if they're building reliefs of animals in such detail, I have to believe that they have some kind of writing
cohesive writing system. But you see, I don't think there was.
I mean, do you think they didn't have the wheel?
No. I just think they hadn't literally invented it. I think nowadays when you say it makes it sound like I was calling them stupid. Like, that guy can't write his own name. I meant they just literally couldn't because they didn't have letters. They're pictograms inside the Gobekli Tepe. I mean, and even those are indecipherable. They don't track. There's no this looks like this, which begets this, which is how we figure a lot of those things out. But these don't track to anything. They're at this point still undeciphered. But they're pictograms. They're not any kind of cohesive or cogent writing system.
I mean, you're right. I'm basing this on no evidence whatsoever. There's no writing that has been found yet at Gobekli Tepe.
But we've already excavated 5%.
I know. We might as well just give up and go home.
There's probably nothing amazing else there. There's that room that's warm and is humming all the time with that piece of metal with all the weird writing on it hanging out, but we haven't gotten to that room yet.
Yeah, that's just on sonar. It's something else, and I'm sure we'll do an episode at some point on the chambers that are beneath the Sphinx's paw.
Yeah.
That they, have already said, yes, this exists on our sonar, but the Egyptian government won't let us do anything here.
Right.
But that's a different episode altogether.
Well, but the good news is, it's Egypt. Give them 6 months, new government.
Woo!
Oh, political zing.
So that's Gobekli Tepe for you.
Yeah, a fun and rollicking mystery rooted in scientific fact.
Yeah, I think this is something that is huge for history, and it should be out there. So it should be something people are aware of. And maybe it's because we live in America and all that we get fed is like football and Real Housewives or something. But Gobekli Tepe is a major thing that's happening in the world right now.
Yeah, that's the thing that it is frustrating to me that there is something this amazing. And until you mentioned it to me, I had no idea it was even there.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until like a month or two ago.
It is, and it's such an interesting thing. And there are so many of these great mysteries that they're not reliant on a blurry photo to sell them. There are so many completely real academic scientific mysteries.
Yep.
And it's so fun to get to explore those. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loves me some Mothman. One of my passions is hunting squatch. But these are probably my favorite brand of mysteries that we discuss.
Cool. My favorite brand of mysteries are puns that we come up with.
Like how deep we'll sink?
Yes, and segues into new sections. Do you want to start it or shall I for puns this week?
Oh man, I'll start it off.
All right.
I'll start it off. It's a Turkish-Japanese fusion restaurant called Gobekli Tepe. Oh, I'm gonna go to jail for that somehow.
I'd try it. Cool. I have a Gobekli Tepe themed surfing shop called Surfaman.
I don't even get it.
It's from that statue with the obsidian eyes.
That's
just added an S. That's all. That was like a mac and cheese pun. I didn't even have to do anything to it.
Okay. I mean, don't start decrying your own lack of work until you hear my next pun. Okay. It's a French archaeologist cartoon character named Gobekli Tepe. He's also a mouse.
What's his catchphrase?
Mon Dieu, they buried it!
Sacre bleu! Gravel and dead!
It's a mistoir! Oh, that damn mouse.
Alright,
Mistoir du histoire. Alright, no more Gobekli Tepe. It's our new Flash cartoon. Put it on the website.
Well, I think he's probably going to go on a t-shirt now.
Yeah.
I have a Native American souvenir shop called Gobekli Tepe.
Oh, nice. Maybe they're related. Oh my god, the villain for our cartoon is Alistair Meowly. He's a cat who chases him around the world.
And the Mothman is the Mothman.
Yeah. Playing the role of the Mothman. The Mothman. As himself. Oh, I hope you've enjoyed this time.
Sacre bleu! Alistair Meowly!
Le chat mâle.
Alright.
Bonjour, Pepe. We meet alors. That's it. We're done. There's no more mystery in this world. We wrung out all the mystery of the week like a sponge into our mouths.
Oh, God. But you have to if you're in the desert. Check us out, blurryphotos.org, if you're not already there. Check us out, Twitter's blurry_photos.
Yeah.
Check us out, Facebook,
Check us out.
Blurry Photos. Just type it in and find us.
Yeah.
Check us out, iTunes.
Good
Blurry
news.
Photos.
Blurry Photos. Like, we're the only Blurry Photos on iTunes. It's not
right.
like we don't have to get a weird Twitter handle. We don't have to make, I am the real Blurry Photos of Chicago. We don't have to do that because we're creative and original.
Yeah.
Shout outs. I've got some shout outs.
Oh, okay.
Shout outs to, we got some new listeners. My friend Joe B. I
Okay.
respect his anonymity.
Great.
I think he spent some time as a CIA operative. But he's listening to us in Minnesota. Also,
Great. Thanks, Joe.
yeah, podcast shout-outs. I know we mentioned this last week, but I've developed a low-grade obsession for An Hour with Your Ex.
Our friend Mel's podcast.
Yep, our friend Mel Evans and her ex. They listen to music, they read books, they watch movies, and then they force the other person to do the same. And I love the format, and it's fun to listen to. So if you want to listen to other people bicker about not agreeing on movies instead of you and your significant other, let them do the work for you. They're taking that mantle onto them
Yep.
to save you the stress in your relationship. And the title of the podcast itself is an apocryphal warning to what happens. So, huge props to them and the great work they're doing.
Awesome. I think that's all I got for this one.
You're not grateful to anyone for anything.
Never. I'm grateful to my own damn self.
Shout-outs to David Flora for his tireless work in this worthwhile enterprise.
And just to be cocky, why don't you throw another sound cocktail at me?
Oh, I don't think I have the energy for thunderstorm, electrified, car crash, underwater.
That's dumb. Here it is.
Oh, God! You just served it! I thought that I could break you, and you broke me.
That's.
I'm like...
And you know why?
What?
And you know why? Because I gave myself a shout out. Because I deserved it.
Because when you believe in yourself, the sky's the limit.
What happened to your voice?
That's what to me, that's what
confidence?
self-esteem, yeah, that's what confidence sounds like. It's a wheezing asthmatic with bad advice.
Great.
If you're a psychologist or a therapist, send us your comments.
Yeah, well, yeah, and a pun.
And a pun.
I'm tired of not reading someone else's pun.
Right! Come on. Really? Gobekli Tepe? You can't beat that? You can't take that out the backyard with a stick? Come on. Although, I feel like I managed to save that by creating an entire children's series
It's true. Oh, jeez.
with a sex-obsessed, demon-worshipping cat.
Our work here is done.
All right.
I'm David Flora.
I'm David Stecco.
This has been Blurry Photos.